Just fight with the tags again, see how that's working. All right, so Babacus, we're going to spend less time building the character and more time seeing what they're up to. So we've got the Cult of Melium, which we were talking about last time, in the city of Ith. And eventually they're going to be causing so much trouble that there's a whole international issue within this big East Radrigar region. But in order for the cult to rise in Ith, we have a wealthy patron of some kind, a nobleman, who begins introducing other members of the upper class into this cult. And previously, the cults caused like a famine in a ritual, some sort of they use some sort of magic, or perhaps their deity Melium is real. We don't know yet what's going on with that. So we're coming up with a character who will kind of serve as that figurehead for them, perhaps in Ith. If you'd like to take on some of the decisions for that character. So, starting with what are their name, so we can use any of these, or you can come up with another one. Yeah, something like that would be great. Yeah, kind of like he's got the social connections, but he's got some perhaps ulterior vibes as well. Boar Patain. Don't like boar? Okay. How about Par Patain? There is a character already in Gethra named Par, but of course, in real life, there's plenty of people with the same name. It would look like this: Par Patain. Of course, open to other ideas too if you'd like. Oh, Bara Patain. Okay. Great. In 733, the cult was introduced permanently into the city by a local noble and sorcerer named Bara Patain. Great. Okay. What kind of venue, what kind of event would he be involved in when he would first kind of introduce people to this cult he's a part of? Is it some sort of like a masquerade or a ball, or is it some sort of ritual? People don't really know what they're getting into, and it's kind of like, oh, are you going to that? That's a kind of dark thing maybe, but then people are intrigued by the mystery. Or it could be perhaps he crashes another event. He's a bit of a holy man. Okay, sure. Confidant to a powerful noble after their son becomes sick. Okay. Oh yeah, that's a good way to kind of introduce it. Let's call him a sage, a local noble and sage named Bara Patain. Though a estranged figure prior to this date, Master Patain, we'll call him, was able to cure the heir of a great house within the city. Drawing attention to the source of his powers, Melium, sorry. There we go. Okay. So perhaps Lord or Master Patain becomes like perhaps he almost begins to stay with this great house. Like he kind of ingratiates himself with them after this, the loss of, or sorry, the healing of their son, and then through them he has access to the rest of the great houses. So let's say in 734, he threw a, well, perhaps not through. He attended. Actually, I guess that's a question for yeah, exactly. He's a bit of a courtier. So, what do you think, Babakis? Does he attend an event or organize an event where he will show off more of the cult? Of course, within the next year or so, much of the upper class is involved in these rituals and dark affairs. Okay, so there's like another religion there. We know that the Atmasepti have been around forever, and they're directly connected by a road right to Ith. So we could say that is one of their temples, perhaps. In 734, are you thinking he corrupts it as in he makes it look bad and that leads to people saying, well, that's wrong and getting into something new? Or does he kind of overtake it with his own order and kind of skew it into the cult? Okay, sure. He used shows of power and his own what would that be called? His own sinister reasonings. Sure, yeah, okay. Thought kind of he was being a little manipulative, but I think I also like the charisma angle as well. In 734, he used shows of power and his own considerable charisma to convert and subvert members of the local Atmasepti temple. Before long, even the Grey Brethren, that's the informal name for the followers, or for the priests of the Atmasepti, before long even the Grey Brethren were spreading word of Meliam and her powers. All right, so I think then in 735, this sentence here is a little bit of a summary, so I might move that. Let's put that on the page about their religion. Just give me 1 second to organize this a little bit better. We can come back and rewrite and rearrange this a bit in a minute. But then we'll say in 735, long even the Grey Brethren were spreading word of Meliam and her powers. In 735, this is now where it's kind of fully become public by this point. Enough so that now other cities hear about what's going on in Ith. What would be perhaps another? Let's figure out what would be another high level thing. Oops, that's the wrong tab here. I'm gonna go here. So perhaps another big ritual happens of some kind. And I think, let's see here. I'm going to randomize this one. This will just say, was Pitane making the calls by this point? Like, did he become in charge of the whole cult? Or is he answering to another master? And again, we don't know yet if Meliam is real or not. That's a bit of a mystery even to us as we're uncovering all this. So it could be that Melium is giving him orders, or it could be that there is a higher up kind of ringleader of this cult. For some reason, I just thought of Creed from The Office. I don't know if you have seen that clip. What he says, it's more fun to be a follower in the cult, but it's more profitable to be the leader. All right, let's see here. Was It was Patain, or it was some other master? And perhaps if it is some other master, that might mean at some point that he wants to act out against them. Oh, it was Patain. Okay. So at this point, whether there's a higher power or not, he's calling the shots and making the decisions. So I guess that's the question then: is what would be the next thing you would see Bara Patain doing in order to further the knowledge and number of followers in his cult? Some sort of big ritual, or is he trying to convert other temples in other cities? He's trying to kind of do what he did in Ith, but do it abroad. Begins to travel. Great. In 735, Master Patain began to travel, bringing word of Melium and displays of her gifts to him. We'll say to other cities abroad. Sure, he's got the disciples. His companions were the disciples of Melium. Some from his own recruitment, because this order would have predated him. Like it's been around for over 100 years before this point. So there would also be pre-existing followers of Melium. So his companions were the disciples of Melium, some from his own recruitment, and some who had been members of the order of the cult before him. All right. Give me 1 second. I'm going to run to the washroom quick, get a little bit more water, and then we'll continue with Master Patain here, and seeing how this cult will fare. All right, I'll be right back. thanks for sticking around, Bobcus. Sorry about that. All right. His companions were the disciples of Meliam, some from his own recruitment, and some who had been members of the cult before him. All right, now I think it's time to see who will stand against the disciples of Meliam. So, which cities oppose the rise of the cult and don't respond to his efforts? So we're going to add on here some local options. We got Elpen again, Elikar, Vagrin, which is the nearest one, Irena. I mean, it would make sense if it's Sanazar, since they're, south in their religion has already been targeted by the cult. And let's see, anywhere else? It might be too far to be quite relevant at this stage. We don't know yet how big this issue will grow, but we'll see. All right, so let's see here. We'll make it more likely. Well, we'll make it less likely that it's Elepan by making all these other ones more. Or Vagrin, sorry. Since that one is. Right. I'll make it more likely that it's Sanazar, since that's been targeted by the religion already. Alright. Here we go. 2. Elikar. Alright. Ironically, that's where one of our other viewers, Amon Ishtar, he had created a character in Elikar. So if he was here, we might call on that character. But for now, I think we'll say we also did. I don't think that his character was really one to protest the cult, from what I had understood of him. So for now, we'll move on to we'll come up with a different character who will be against that. All right. So what cities oppose the rise of the cult? Oh, I meant to also determine. Well, we'll just leave it with the one for now. Elikar is the city that opposes it the most. While the cult was spreading from 735 to, let's see, how long does this kind of interim period go while things are just developing, simmering, as it were. So 735 to 740, somewhere in there. Oh, all right, so just for a year or so. While the cult was spreading from 735 to 736, Elikar began to take steps to oppose its spread. Let's see. We're going to come up with another character. Perhaps I will make decisions for that character, just simply since we don't have anyone else to do so. Let's say I'm going to expand. I got to expand my list of names at some point here. I like to have some that I've come up with that fit the kind of lingo in Gethra. Let's say. Let me just see here. Particularly let's see. A powerful merchant lord. Let's see, I'm just trying to think of another name. Also, I probably shouldn't copy the. It shouldn't sound like Barra Patina. It'll just contrast things here. So let's see. Tyrus of Elikar. Particularly a powerful merchant lord, Tyrus of Elikar. saw a danger in the cult based on his own experiences before its rise in Ith. So he had some sort of backstory with it. And we'll see. Well, let's see. What will he try to do about it? He made a few investments in Vagran. To cut ties with Ith. So we'll see. So he's trying to stemmy the flow of the cult out of Ith. He's trying to cut off, kind of embargo this line here and stop the information from coming through Vagran using his own kind of investments in the city. So let's see if that will succeed or not. Is Tyrus able to cut off the spread west, or east, sorry. No. Maybe that's just an even 50-50 here. No. Well, that's good for Bara Patain then. Alright, and then let's see which city. So on the flip side, we figured out how did things go for Tyrus, but which city had the most success for Bara Patain? So where did he convert the most? Elpan, Vagran, Hyrena, and Sanazar. We'll leave Elakar off there for now, because it seems like there's some tension kind of back and forth there from those two. So Elpan, Vagran, Hyrena, Sanazar. And I think it'd be less likely in Sanazar just because that's a whole holy city of another religion. It'd be a lot harder to convert. Oh, and it was Sanazar. Wow. This cult just got a whole lot more persuasive. Alright. While his initial attempts faltered, Patain and the cult's followers saw record conversions even in Sanazar, the heart of the Atlas Septi. So there must be something about Melium that is very kind of similar or susceptible for the Atlas Septi and the Grey Brethren. All right, let's check then. Perhaps out of interest here, is Melium a character in Atlas Septi mythos? So, in other words, sure, this cult exists. Is the cult perhaps a sect of the Atlas Septi? That has been taken into the forefront instead of being a kind of side, I don't know, perhaps a minor deity or something like that, and it's kind of become a bigger focus. So we'll say yes or no. There we are. No. Alright, so for some reason, though, it's not that she was a character within the Atlas Septi mythos, but something about her and the cult, or something about Bara Patain and his methods is just really persuasive and is succeeding. Alright, so let's say then, let's take a look at the map here. Since you're playing that role of, Bara Patain, Babacus, which direction would he focus on? He's heard of some tension up here in Vagran and Elakar, but he's also managed to convert, or starting to convert, Sanazar, which is a really significant city, and Sanazar has access across the seas. So will he focus on where it's been hardest, or will he focus on this new potential arena to the south? What do you think? go to the new potential. Okay. Well, we also figured out before that he is kind of in control of much of the cult, so he would have some sway over where they're heading. We haven't really seen yet if Melium is giving orders of her own, and we did check if she was, and she wasn't yet. So it's kind of up to him. So he's going to seek out new potential instead of facing off back home. All right, so let's add that onto the page here. While his initial attempts faltered, Patain and the cult's followers saw record conversions even in Sanazar, the heart of the Amisepti. So let's figure out. Let's see here. How many years it would, for the next kind of big change. We'll just say from Sanazar, Patain began focusing on cities across the Grey Sea. Potential new followers who did not know how to atone. Well, yes, I think that was kind of the basis of things. Appease, yeah. Well, I'll say how to appease Melium. Also tends to have a lot of recruitment among travelers of the Crimson Highway. Yep, that's a good tie-in with the Crimson Highway for sure. Let's see here. Many of his ardent followers rose from among the ranks or travelers of the Crimson Highway. I think that makes a lot of sense too, because they're perhaps somewhat of a lawless group, so a less kind of goody two shoes kind of religion. Like they probably have heard enough of Atma Septi and how holy the sky god is in along their road. So it's kind of something more interesting for them to investigate when they hear of this new cult. All right, so from Sanazar, Patain began focusing on cities across the Grey Sea. All right, well now let's check. Since he didn't focus on Tyrus, who's opposing him from Vagran. Let's see. Does Tyrus succeed as the cult moves south? So we'll say succeed in swaying Vagran. Yes. No. No, but another city sways. Yeah, it definitely seems like it's a slower night tonight, Abe. Babacus, you were right earlier. Must be a lot of good live games right now.